Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Listen, if you look up at my screen, you'll see an Etsy shop called Pear Blossom Designs. I love the designs that are here. Look how cute this little guy is right here on the upper right hand corner. The little penguin with the snowman. I love that. And here it is right here. It's called Warm Wishes. Well, I don't want to buy the ones that are already colored because I'm going to color these myself with my watercolors. You know, I'm brand new with using watercolors, and I'm going to try and duplicate this because I'm just going to buy the white outline right here. The Warm Wishes digital stamp set right here. So I've already bought it. Look, it says, buy it now, but I've already purchased it and I have it. And what I did was, well, let's look at my silhouette. So when you get to silhouette, you'll see that I have this. And what I did was I even grabbed the ones that are already done because I wanted to take one out so I could try to replicate it when I'm using my watercolors. So here's the one I'm going to try to replicate. And then with my downloads, this is the one I got. Notice he has a white box around him. So of course, in Silhouette, if you're new to Silhouette, what I did was this. I came over here to the trace panel and I said select the trace area, and I simply traced him. And it didn't look like that great of a trace, although if I scroll in it probably is, but I upped the threshold a little bit anyway. And then I said trace. And so let's scroll back out so you see. Now what happens is this box with the black outline, I'm done with that. What I can use now is this thing that has been traced and there's no outline behind it. So I'm going to come up here to the upper left hand corner and change the color to black. And I'm going to turn off the line color by changing it to transparent, just like that. So you can see I have 4 of them here, but I don't just have them like this, like him. I put an offset around that so that when I'm all done coloring, it can cut out this offset around him if I'd like it to do that. So to put the offset, all you do is come over here to the little star, click on offset, and it makes an offset, and you can change the size of it right here. I'll leave it as it is for right now. And as you can see, the offset's going to have some extra cuts in it. Wherever you see red lines, those mean cut lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that out of there, and I'm going to change the offset color. Right now, if I click here, it's a transparent color, and you can tell that right here because it shows transparent. I could change it to any color I want. Whoops, I got to highlight it though. And I could change it to any color I'd like. And you can see it more easily what I'm doing if I do that. Again though, these little white spots are going to be cut out, and that's not what I want for my offset. So all I have to do is come up here to Object, Release Compound Path. That puts a little box around everything that makes him up, and we've been learning this for quite a while now. Once there are boxes around all of those things, I can just right click on him and say weld. And then it ends up he's all just one piece. I can put it behind here as my offset. However, I like my offset to be white, so I'm going to change its color back to white like that. And then I can just, if I'm not sure if I put it perfectly back where it should be, I can come up here once I have both of those selected and say center. And then I can hit Control G on my keyboard to group them, or right click and say group. And now they'll stay together just like that. So scroll back out. What I did then was, as you know, I like to use my portrait machine. Here is my portrait set up. Let's get rid of this guy. We don't need him anymore. And that one. I came to my page setup. I have portrait, auto portrait, and letter size. And then I clicked on show print border and show cut border. If I turn those off, look and see what happens on the mat. The print border, can you see that one line coming and going? And I'll do the same to the cut border. See that? So that means I don't want to have any of my images outside of that cut border. So now what I'm going to do is come to the third button over, and that puts on my registration marks. Ordinarily, it would come with them off. I would come over here and select on, so they'll be on, and I'll make sure my snowman and little penguins are inside of the cut borders. That's perfect, just like that. So the next thing I would do is I would just go up here to File and Print. And what I'm going to print those on is some heavy watercolor paper. I use the Canson XL watercolor paper. It's a nice thick paper, thicker than our cardstock, and it's textured a little bit too. And it's made especially for watercolors, and that's what I'm going to be using. So I would just go to Print, and I leave all my preferences alone and just say Print. Well, as you can see, I've already printed here, so I'm ready to go. So I'm ready to begin coloring, and the first thing that I always like to do is to spray my paints with some water to get them started, and then I'm just dripping in some paint into each of the little spots. And then I'm going to use my little bit thicker brush and go ahead and wet the part of the hat, because I want this to be a wet on wet technique. So I'm wetting that, and then I'm going to get some of my black and I dab it off a little bit on my paper towel so it's not too wet, and begin painting it in like that. Then I'll do the brim of his hat in the same way. So I'm just kind of shading it a bit as I go. Okay, and here's my first little snowman. I decided to put snowflakes around him, but that's only if I'm going to cut him out like this. Do recall, though, that I put the registration marks on here with an offset, so I could just cut him with the offset and not put any of this stuff on there. I can still decide that later. Okay, here you see the finished product. I made a card out of it. I went from the images on the right, and which were the digi-stamped images, and colored them with my paints as you saw, and then outlined them with the squiggly lines with a pen, and that's my finished product. And I also did the sentiment with a font that I downloaded from Creative Fabrica, and I'll have that link down below for you as well. So thank you very much for joining me. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're interested in finding out more about watercolors, or if you'd like to get a set like this, let's see if I can find the front. Here's the front of it. I'm going to be giving away one of these sets, so stay tuned.